Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Acting Secretary, thank you to you and your team for being here today. This is a packed hearing room. It's always good to see that people are interested and engaged in what government does, and appreciated our conversation about childcare and want to continue to have that conversation about childcare. I was grateful to hear that the Childcare Works list is being met, understanding that there's still great demand and need, unmet need, in the private sector for childcare. In the explanation of changes for childcare services on page 274 of your budget document, there's a decrease of $141.8 million in federal funds, and it says reflects the utilization of prior year Coronavirus Response Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act and American Rescue Plan Act funds for eligible fiscal year 2023-2024 expenses. So I'm hoping you can explain to me what that is going to mean. Is there going to be a snapback of expenses that state funds will be needed to backfill in our next fiscal year?
A great question, thank you. So that specific line adjustment is trying to demonstrate that we had COVID relief funds that were made available in 2021 and 21-22. We hold the funds in that year and we roll expenses back to use those dollars because that's when they were appropriated to be used. We don't anticipate at this point, your words, a snapback to require additional general funds as we move forward. You can see that in the out years for the Child Care Services appropriation. We have some dollars from the feds. There's CCDFBG dollars, we have TANF dollars. We'll use those balances, and that's, of course, that assumption is if what's proposed in 23-24 is actually what occurs. But we'll use those balances up as we move forward.
And where would I find that adjustment in your budget models?
The adjustment for the 140 or just?
Right, because it appears that there is, when I'm looking through the documents, there's 35 million in 22-23 and 54.8 million in 23-24, but that only adds up to 90 million. But you had said there was a decrease on page 274 of 141.8 million. I can't make your numbers work.
Got you. Yeah, and maybe there's a better way that we could have displayed it, but in the, let me just open to that Child Care Services template. So there are a number of adjustment lines that are tied to the end of COVID dollars. So you'd actually have to take lines 5, 6, and 11, and then account for the differences between 22-23 and 23-24, and you'll reach the 90 million. So you're right, it's not something you can see on one line, it's included in a number of lines.
Okay. Well, we will go back and take a look at that and see if we can make those numbers work again.
And certainly let us know if you have any more questions about it.
Childcare is expensive. We know that. We heard that here today, and as you responded to the gentlelady from Berks County, costs have gone up across the board. So I was very interested in the exchange that you had with the gentlelady from Philadelphia in the House Appropriations Committee yesterday regarding insurance coverage costs for childcare and the fact that they have escalated dramatically, and that is if they can get the coverage at all. And I understand that this has transpired over the course of the last few years. I really appreciated your empathetic response, and you shared your own challenges with acquiring medical malpractice insurance. So what are we doing about this issue? Look, I understand that our child welfare providers can't acquire the insurance that they are required to carry, right? This is in addition to, challenges with finding workers and paying workers and all those other things. And my concern is that we're diverting expenses in our courts because these providers are being priced out of the market. That's going to impact every person who needs affordable, high-quality childcare.
So, Senator, I'm very glad you raised that issue because, to be completely transparent, yesterday was the first time I heard about that issue. That was not an issue that had come to my attention previously. And I had a minute to do a little bit of research last night. Apparently, this is to some extent a result of the Sandusky situation and some of the liabilities that came out of that situation, that tragic situation. And so the rates for insurance in some of these areas have gone up. I would love to work with you to figure out what we can do to help with that. These, for the providers, as we mentioned earlier, they are individual small businesses. And so I don't know yet what tools are available to us to help with something like that, but it's something I'd be happy to look into with you.
Well, I would certainly appreciate that opportunity. We can't afford to lose child care providers because they can't get insurance. So I think there may be some opportunities to discuss further some venue issues that have changed recently as well. So I would appreciate that. Thank
Great.
you very
We'll
much.
follow up on
Thank you,
that.
Mr. Chairman.